Welcome back to Ferocious Education. This is Zach. Today I'm going to be talking about NOVN as an update again. I linked in the description below my previous DD on this one. This one here is going to be my updates from there on. Before we move forward, make sure you subscribe, leave your notifications on, drop a like to help this channel grow, and we're going to go here through technical analysis, and I'm going to share with you the latest news and how I would play this stock moving forward. Looking at it here, we get to see in a one month, 1 day interval. MACD here is declining. This is signaling in a testing of a reversal, a negative reversal that is. If the MACD does go towards negative, that is a little bit of a bad sign, but it's still testing it, so that's not confirmed yet. In terms of the William percent R, what we're looking at here is an oversold condition, which is good for the stock, combined with a trading action zone, and that's when the price is between the 10 SMA and the 30 SMA. So that's really amazing news that we're looking at here, is when the stock is signaling in trading action zone and it can actually see perhaps a bullish kicker. The stock price has been under the 200 SMA for quite a while, but it's still above the 50 SMA, and the stock 10 SMA is above 30 SMA. So that's averages here, and they all look great. Now moving on towards average directional index, it's around above 50, and that's usually where it gives a little bit of a warning where a trend is a little bit unstable, but that kind of warning was given more around on the 22nd, and that's kind of the residue coming in out of it. It hit the peak on the 27th on the average directional index and then started going down. So I wouldn't give it much mind in that way. Moving on to the 1 hour interval, what we get to see here is that the MACD has been quite negative for a bit and been a bit sloppy today. And it seems that it's actually increasing there as well. So what we might see is an increase in that trend as we go forward. Might end up opening a little bit lower tomorrow, but with it being highly oversold, you might actually see a bit of a positive reversal. So what you might actually have is something very similar to what's happening here, where you had quite a negative, a sloppy, and then perhaps a bit of a positive. At least that's one would hope for. Average directional index does show a sloppy direction here, and the stock is highly oversold almost all in the last 2 days. So that's a good setup in terms of the stock being oversold, but you need to actually make sure as well that the stock unbalanced volume doesn't keep dipping that way, and the MACD does actually see a bit of a reversal towards the positive sign. Now, the stock has dipped under the 200 SMA for the first time today, which is an extremely bearish sign, especially since it's under the 50 SMA. And the 30 EMA is now above the 10 SMA, so that's all bearish. Now going on towards moving averages, and what we get to see here, and I'm gonna just zoom in quickly in the last few days, is that it is getting in this band, and that band is the cyan and the purple one. So that might be a little bit interesting to see. It would hold. Now the bottom of the band is 0.5059, top of the band is 0.72. That will increase a little bit tomorrow, perhaps, but it would probably trade somewhere around there. That's usually where the trend comes back. Trend line here, now that has definitely been broken. It's probably somewhere around this trend line here. And that kind of, well, not technically broken yet, so that's still to be broken. Hopefully it doesn't do so and it bounces back. Now what we're seeing here is not a significant trend that I can see right away and tell you that's what it is. Going on to Fibonacci Retracements, what we get to see is that the stock has dropped below its Fibonacci support is 0.67, and it broke through there. Now the next traditional support is sitting in a 0.66, and it seems that it's actually testing it as we speak. So you might have around closer to 8 p.m. or so that it might actually either bounce back or test it. If it bounces back, that's a good sign. If it breaks through, that's a really bad sign, because the next support in there would be around 0.61, and then following that would be around 0.57. Following that would be around 0.54, following that would be around 0.51, and then around 0.49. Of course, the bottom is a 0.46. Now it comes in towards resistance, which we hope it actually meets. 0.71 seems to be the actual next resistance to form today, and a little bit behind on there. And then we have 0.73, and then we have 0.77, and then the Fibonacci retracements as 0.81, and then it moves forward. There's a lot less resistance that's moving upwards. Now going on towards the latest news, and here is where things get a little bit interesting. So we do have yesterday, this company here, Raymond James and Associates, did decrease their stocks around 2.31%. We do have Red Cedar Capital has bought around 1,000. It seems that there has been some purchases and some activity as well for this month. Now, when we're looking at Red Capital here, I'll just be loading. So moving on towards the main news, it was the Novan, Novan president and CEO, Paula Brown, is named as chair of the board. So that was quite interesting as well. Not a major reaction, but it did dip down a little. Now, I did mention this one is as well COVID play in here. This is the new presentation that they had. They did have it, I believe, on the 28th. So this is usually stocks after a meeting that is highly anticipated with news does sometimes dip down. So let's take a quick look here. So experienced leadership team, strong balance sheet, that's all amazing. Sufficient capital to conduct fee simple poor pivotal phase 3 study, amazing. Options for molluscum and leveraging internal pipeline to secure net phase for growth. That's all amazing news. Now, what we're looking for here is the initiation of pivotal 3. So this is a PR that is possible for us to come, and would get the stock to jump a little. Exploring additional viral basis indications, that is as well, could be some PRs coming in there. Preclinical activities in dermatology, women's health, and a bunch of others here that might actually be interesting, especially with intellectual property. Now, the pipeline has expanded quite a little from what we looked at a while ago. So this one here is in phase 3, so this is amazing here. Gray ones are on hold, but you look here on the coronavirus is probably, this is something related to the nitric oxide research and how nitric oxide can be used as a treatment for COVID. So that is a nice play there. You might actually hear some PR coming in, and I imagine that they're trying to run with this as much as they can. Now, they do have women's and health ones and high risk HPVs for the WH504 and 602 going in preclinical. Might actually as well hear some PR on this. Now, moving forward here, let's try to take a quick look. So not a lot of things coming in other than those kind of PRs. There is their focus on the next 12 months is the planning for successful, as I said, the phase 3 and NDA. So that will be amazing for us to hear, evaluating all potential strategic options. So we might hear as well some updates on there. So how would I play the stock and what would I do looking at it? So what I want to see is if it does hold that kind of support around the 0.66 mark and it bounces back. If it doesn't do so, would it hold the 0.61? If it does test 0.61 and it bounced just a little bit slightly, that might be a really good entry point for me. For the time being, even if I'm holding it, I would definitely hold to see if it at least does keep the 0.66 mark or the 0.65 mark. If it dips below then, and my average is not that high, I would definitely consider perhaps selling it and then buying somewhere closer to 0.62 or 0.60. It really depends on how many shares you have. So if you're playing with something like 20 shares, the loss is not big at all, but it's definitely interesting to see. I'll definitely be updating on Twitter. Make sure you @ me on it so I'll help you out and share my updated views. What do you think about this ticker? Make sure you mention it down in the comments below. Share, subscribe, and like, and you have a wonderful day.